Education is the heart and soul of the Samvia brand as we stand before you for the love of education.
Whether it's through live education or maybe through social media, we're always trying to make a personal connection with you, the learner.
Our contributions in education will be our legacy in this age.
At Samvia, our smile is our logo, and our personality is our business card. And how you feel when you walk away after an educational experience is our trademark.
The heart of Samvia is education. Join our journey, my friends, and we will change your life behind the chair.
Hi friends, welcome to Mannequin Monday here on the Samvia YouTube and Facebook channel. So happy to have you here. If you haven't already, please pop into the chat where you're watching from so that Becca and I know who is here with us. We love to have you here. So before we get started with education, just a couple little things. If you are looking for some hands-on education to bring into your salon, you can bring the Samvia art team live and hands-on into your salon. You can head to samvia.com/education for more information on that. And if you are someone that loves Samvia tools, you can actually earn money using those tools. You can join the Samvia affiliate program. You can earn a 20% commission. Plus, the people that use your code, they're going to get an additional 10% discount. And that's even on top of already discounted prices, which is pretty cool. And speaking of discounted prices, don't worry if you missed the whole Black Friday craziness. We still have some great promotions going on. 25% off site-wide. So if you are still needing tools, maybe a couple Christmas gifts or something, you still have an opportunity. So today we have such a great educator. Becca Bradshaw is from Tampa, salon owner, national Redken artist. I don't know why I had a hard time saying that, but sometimes your tongue just gets tied, y'all. National Redken artist and Samvia ambassador. So please welcome in the chat the awesome, super talented Becca Bradshaw.
Good morning, friends. I'm so excited to be joining here from Tampa, Florida. We're going to get right into the Cub Cut. So what is the Cub Cut, you might ask? It is for people who are not quite ready to make the full leap into the wolf cut, but they still want something that's heavily layered and has a little bit of swing to it. So as you can see here, this is going to be one of the shapes that you can get with this Cub Cut. We're looking at like a little bit of a heavier fringe here that sort of starts to taper off into a shape that is highly layered, so you can get a lot of volume or a lot of height from it, and then it kind of kicks out here on the ends. I want to shout out one of my colleagues for coloring this, my colleague Ming. Her Instagram is Mings_mojo_hair if you want to ask her about the holiday colors that she put in this. And if we can look here at the back of the shape, you can see from the profile, we get definitely like a nice push to it and some little flicks through the ends here. Now, this cut has been popularized this decade by our friend Jenna Ortega. So if you know who Jenna Ortega is, give me a yeah in the chat. So we'll put up a picture here of Jenna Ortega in just a second. There's Jenna Ortega. And right in the middle here, you can see that we have Jean Shrimpton. And on the very far end, we have my favorite, Jane Birkin. But what you're looking at is this is a trend that has been happening that has been recycled since the 60s, where it's got like that nice little like brushing bang in there, and then some nice height, and definitely a stronger perimeter through the haircut. So I already see people in the chat saying that, hey, we know Jenna Ortega. So how many of you have guests that are asking for this type of a shape? Maybe they're not calling it the Cub Cut yet, but watch, as these trends start to come into the mainstream, they're going to be asking for the Cub Cut by name. So let's get into it. We're going to take our new mannequin, brand new, and if you look, we already have established the perimeter here. on the mannequin. So this one is by my colleague Chloe. She wanted to go ahead and take that holiday hair and bring it into something a little bit more pastel that might be a little bit more wearable for folks. So if you want to give Chloe a follow, she is over at cosmetology_Chloe. So we definitely live in a community, and I love it when my colleagues can go ahead and help out. So we're going to start with the fringe on this haircut. We're going to start with the bangs. Whatever is the most important part of the haircut is where we like to start in the salon. So that way we can build confidence with our guest. So what you're going to do is you're going to come in here and you're going to start to section off the fringe, and you're going to cut the fringe first for this shape. So as you notice, I've only gone to right about the center of that eyebrow, and I'm going to go to the center of the eyebrow on the other side. Now we do all of this cut dry, which is such a wonderful thing, again, for building client confidence and for building your confidence in the salon. You can actually see what's happening as you cut it. So I'm going to be using a few tools here that help me out with my dry cutting that I think will help you out as well. Number one is my Sam Via hair dry cutting clips. I love this because of the polyurethane band here. It does not make a dent in the hair as we get it clipped away. There's nothing more aggravating than cutting dry and then having those clips that come in and give a harsh bend in the hair when you release them. So as you can see, we're just going to start right here with the fringe. We're not taking the all the way full fringe because we want this cut to blend from its shortest point to those longer, more wispy layers that we have. So we are going to just cut this fringe halfway in the middle. Let's just put the left side here out of the way, and we will clip it again. Another one of my favorite tools, friends, these dry cutting clips. So we'll clip that out of the way. And our first side of the fringe, we're going to leave with a lower elevation. We're going to over direct it right in front of the other eye. If we have a guest in the salon, we'll just ask them, go ahead and close your eye for me for just a moment so I can place this right inside their eye. And I'm going to come over here and we will just trim this first little bit right here. So right inside that eye socket, lowest elevation, and just with a deep point cut, we're trimming off the first little bit of fringe here. So as you can see, we might want to go just a little bit shorter. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to come in here and trim it right below the eyebrow. I see that we have some international guests in the chat. It's so exciting to see everybody joining. What time is it there? It is 11 a.m. here in Florida, so you know that we are ready to rock and roll. Awesome. We love the link right here. The length is doing great. We're going to go ahead and we're going to release that other side now of the fringe. And since we over directed the right side to the left, we're going to over direct the left side to the right. But now we have a guide that we can work with. So why do we think it might be better to work with the fringe first when we're making a big change? Who can tell me in the chat? So why do we think it might be better to work with the fringe first? Look, we're going to use our guide right here, and we are going to bring it over to the opposite side. Okay, so I love the idea of working with the fringe first as we come through and we're creating a brand new shape and we are making a big change. A lot of times the most important thing to our guest is going to be what is exactly in front of their face. Now, so often in the salon, we have taken the most important thing and saved it until the last thing that we cut. If we go ahead and switch the way that we start to think about this a little bit, and we cut it first, it helps the guest to have a little bit more trust in us as we're cutting, and it also relaxes them through their experience of the cut. So instead of being excited, but also a little nervous while we're cutting in the back, they can see what's happening to the fringe right away. So right in the very center of this fringe, we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut it just a little bit shorter. So the tiniest bit shorter that we're going to come in the front and just tap that away so that our guest can see. Now, if you're like me and you notice that as you're cutting off hair when it's dry, sometimes what we think about is, oh, we cut off that nice, beautiful bend that we just put in the hair right there. So I'm going to have you do this. You're just going to come in and you're going to grab your sleeker iron. And we have that sleeker iron and we're going to set that sleeker iron to color treated because we have some nice and beautiful color going on here in the hair. And we're just going to come back in and we're going to put the slightest bend in this fringe so that it looks nice and finished as we go along. Now look at that. So go ahead and finish it as we go. And then that way, we will make sure that they're in love with that little fringe. They get to look at the bang as they're getting the rest of their hair trimmed. And it just makes for an overall wonderful, wonderful experience for the guest. So see how easy that was to put a nice little bevel in there on the fringe? There we go. So we are going to head on and we are going to do the rest of this shape. So if you noticed, it did seem like that shape was nice and full. So we are going to work on those full layers first. And then after we work on those layers, we'll blend everything else in. So if you are ready, give me a, oh yeah, I'm ready in the chat. All right, looks like we're ready. So here's what's great. This is going to take place, friends, in really only 4 sections. We're going to be using our elevation and our over direction to work for us as we're going along here in this haircut. So we're going to make sure that we have it sectioned off properly in the beginning. So I see people in the chat are ready. Jamie's ready. Katie's ready. Thank you so much for joining and for playing. We know that we learn more if we participate when we're in live education. So here we are. We're going to do this look. We're going to do the fringe and we're going to do it in quadrants. So the first thing that's going to happen is we're going to look at where we want the layer shape to start on both sides. And if we're looking at cheekbones, we're going to take our guide and we're going to create our guide first. So if we want the guide to live at the cheekbones, the first thing that we want to do is we want to look at this guide and then we're going to slide slightly down. We're going to bring in our shear right here and we're going to cut on the way down so that we create a really soft guide. All right, let's just go ahead and we'll cut on the way down. These shears that we're using right here, these are my Artist Series shears. I just love this shear. It has the strongest steel from Samvia, and I feel like they just stay sharp and they cut like butter the whole time. So, do you see our guide that we have created on this side? If you see it, say yes. All right, we're going to go ahead and we're going to create the guide on the other side. Now, who can remember the best practices for cutting this guide? Are we going to cut this guide blunt or are we going to cut it soft? Perfect. Yeah, we're going to cut this guide soft. So we're matching it up right here at the cheekbone. We're going to give it a little pinch and we're going to slide our fingers just slightly past that so that we can come in and we can cut it on the way down. Now, you might ask, you might say, Becca, why are you cutting this guide so soft? And I'm going to say to you, I am so glad you asked. We're going to cut this guide a little bit softer because there is nothing worse than having a guide cut that then you have to go back and blend out. Save yourself the trouble and cut yourself a soft guide to begin with. So we're going to be working here with the Artist Series shear. As you can see, it fits perfectly in the palm of my hand. I have enough length here with the shear to do bigger sections. Here's why this is important. The haircut here is going to happen in basically 4 sections, in 4 quadrants. All right, I am going to show you this first section right here. So what we're going to do as we come in, we're going to use a soft line, a zigzag line. So we're going to come in, we're going to use a soft zigzag line. We're going to expose some of this beautiful color. So exciting, such great stuff. And we are going to elevate this hair. We're going to elevate it straight up. We're going to elevate it straight up, and we are going to elevate it until it comes up and over the head and it over directs back. So each quadrant is going to over direct to the opposite quadrant here in the back. So once we have it elevated straight up and all the way over, now we can grab our guide. We can grab our guide and we can join it in. Now, here's where it gets fun. All of this hair is going to come off in one section. There's the guide. Here's the hair. You're going to come in using your Artist Series shear. You can come in and you can cut that line just straight off. Just go ahead and cut it, because your elevation and your over direction here are going to give you the softness that you're looking for when you're cutting a cub cut. So as we're looking at it, we can watch this hair drop back over, and you can see this nice, beautiful fullness and shagginess that comes and it lays over. Nice short layer at the top, but go ahead and elevate it all the way up and over direct it all the way over to get that shape that you're looking for. Look at that beautiful volume that you're getting in just one cut. All right, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do it again on the other side. So if you can remember, we already have our guide cut on this other side. We're going to go ahead and we're going to take a, what kind of section? That's right, a zigzag section. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take that soft zigzag section and we're going to take it up until it is elevated straight up, and it is going to be over directed until it is back in the opposite quadrant. So we have that guide already working for us. We can elevate it straight up and straight back. Now, we are using over direction in this case to work for us because this haircut actually lives forward. So if you're going to be looking at the Jenna Ortega, as opposed to the Jean Shrimpton or the Jane Birkin, what you're going to notice is the update from this haircut that makes it fresh, that makes it modern. This is why it's not a 60s haircut, why it is something that we're looking at that can be modernized, because it's actually going to be brushed forward from the crown of the head rather than back like the 60s would have done it. So if you're learning something so far, say I'm learning in the chat. So we can see this coming together just beautifully. I'm going to go ahead and do the back quadrants. And in just a moment here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put up something for you that's going to show the over direction. So I see Colleen, you're in here saying, I'm learning. Thank you so much. It's great to see that you're learning. That's why we do these. So notice that we're moving the dry cutting clips here forward now. I've already cut this area. So this is like a little tip or a little trick to me that takes over in my brain. That's like, you're done with this area, Becca, move on to the next area. If that's going to be helpful for you, give me a thumbs up, give me a heart emoji. Let me know that these little tips are the things that are helpful for you. So remember, we're back into 4 quadrants in the back right here. We're going to separate one of those quadrants up and out of the way. We are going to come in. We are going to do our zigzag section and expose some of this beautiful color underneath again. But remember, this elevation goes straight up. So we are recapping as we go. I'm so happy to have you here. So what we're going to be doing is we are cutting these layers, remember, in 4 quadrants. So it's happening fast. The layers that are happening in the top are being cut in these 4 quadrants. We are looking at the density of the hair as we go down. So we want to establish that perimeter first. As we've established that perimeter, that allows us to see how much hair we can take up and we can layer. I think, Terry, you were asking if this cut would be good on hair that's fine. Terry, I think this haircut would be great on hair that's fine because you are looking in the perimeter to make sure that you have that density that you want, and you're able to layer everything else. So you get a fair degree of shortness, a fair degree of layering, and you will be able to preserve all of that density at the bottom that people with fine hair like myself or you or your guest really are so concerned about. We don't want that density to be taken away from the bottom. So Simon, it's a great question that you're asking here. Is this only good for dry hair? I think that's a wonderful question. Here is going to be the answer. No, you can cut hair however it is that you wish to cut hair. You can cut hair wet and you can cut hair dry. So if you cut hair dry, which we're doing today, the benefit is you get to see it as it happens. So take a look. We're going to use our guide from our front section. Do you see our guide? We're going to make sure we have a big enough guide so that we don't lose it. And we're going to show you the benefit of cutting it dry right now. This quadrant is going to be elevated all the way up until it's wrapping on the top of the head, but it's also going to be over-directed to the opposite quadrant. So here we are. We're going to find that guide, slide to that guide. Here's my guide. And here's the rest of my hair. So as I'm coming in, I am just going to take this and I am going to cut it blunt. Now here's another great thing. I'm in here using my Artist Series shear. Remember, it fits great in my hand, but I have a big enough blade that I can take a big section. When I'm cutting it on dry hair, I'm compressing that and it's looking beautiful as I'm combing it out. So I can see the shape that I've just created in this hair. So it has a fair degree of shortness in the layer, comes in, gives it a nice little bump for a layer shape if you like that, or you can also wear it smooth. So great question if it's for just dry hair. All right, we're moving on to our last quadrant. So for anyone that is just now joining us, we are 4 sections and basically almost done with this cut. Colleen, I love that. Would this work on curly? So I have such a passion for curly hair. I believe that it is one of those things that we all need to be educated in, and we need to look at what will work and what won't work for curly-haired people. So this haircut is going to be great on curly hair as well, as long as it doesn't hit quite to that zigzag or that very, very tight coil. So somebody that has hair like me or somebody that has a spiral hair, this would work great on because you're allowing them to have a fair degree of shortness, but you're not giving those layers that start to cut off as they go down. So we are getting a lot of volume. We're moving away from that triangular shape that curly hair sometimes tends to get, where it's flat at the top and wide through the perimeter. This is a great haircut for curly hair. So the Cub Cut, it's like a baby wolf cut. It's good for just about everyone because we are looking at layers that are short enough from the top, but blended through the perimeter. So take a look. We've got our guide right here. We've got our last section going on. Remember, we're going to elevate this until it comes all the way up, and we're going to over-direct it into its opposite quadrant. So if you're learning something so far, say learn. If you remember how we're supposed to cut this blunt, say I do. All right. That is going to be our very last cut for layers. So we have done this entire layer shape, and we have done this entire layer shape here in 4 cuts. I'm going to go ahead and put up a screen right now. So if you have your phones, if you're watching on your phone, make sure that you take a screenshot of this. So if you want to look at where they are over directed to, each quadrant in the front gets over directed to the opposite quadrant in the back. Each quadrant in the back gets over directed to the opposite quadrant in the front. So the second head here is showing your elevation. It's all the way up and all the way over onto the other side. And then you can take a look right here. Chandler, just like you asked, you can take a look right here at where the parting is. That parting is that zigzag parting, and we are basing it on the density of the hair. So the density of the hair really determines where that zigzag parting is going to go. So you can part it above the occipital bone for somebody that has slightly denser hair, but if they have finer and thinner hair, you probably want to keep that zigzag parting a little bit closer to the parietal ridge. And here's what's great. You can already see in this shape the amount of height and volume that we're getting here on this cub cut. So we can come in now and start to, if we have the opportunity, we can come in now and we can start to carve out through the sides and the back to give a little bit more of that piecey, flicky effect. So these are the things that you're going to want to do on people that have slightly more hair in those areas. If they just want this part of the cub cut so that it's highly layered, added to a little bit of fringe, it's almost like a peekaboo fringe in there. Would you agree? It's pretty wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to start to look at the sides so that we can go ahead and we can take a little bit more hair out of the sides. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to take this hair, I'm going to take it up and I'm going to take it over. Oh, I want to use another one of my favorite tools. So Samvia just came out with these hair grips. I am in love with these because as you're moving through a haircut like this, it's happening very fast. Sometimes you just need something that's going to stick on the hair and it's going to keep moving as you go. So, I mean, excuse me, check that out. It just like, boop, goes right on there and that becomes your clip. So the reason that we're doing that is going to be twofold. I need to work with my clip possibly through this area right here, but I also don't want any of this hair up here to be dented at all. So great question there in the chat. I'm seeing how long should the length be if I want to do this type of a haircut? So here is my suggestion. And then I'm going to give a little bit for our creative freedom because we know as hairdressers, we love to have some creative freedom. So I love this haircut when it sort of harkens back to those 60s models, which is about shoulder length. Now, if you don't want to come in here and carve this out too much, you can absolutely just layer the top. And I love it what we're talking about here, Simon. You're saying that this technique could be usable in so many different haircuts as a last little finishing technique. I agree. It's going to be such a great use for you to have some of these techniques here, and you don't even have to create the whole cub cut. You can actually look at it as individual techniques. That's why we're sharing it with you, because we know that you are the true creative tool. We love it here when you're using our tools at Samvia, but really your creativity, it lives in your head and it lives in your heart. You are the true creative here. So take these techniques, use these tools, they're yours now. We want you to have them. So we're going to just come in here, we're going to layer through this side just a little bit. We're using a diagonal back section here at the side. So we've grabbed a little bit from the perimeter here, and we're going to start right about below the bang, right about at the cheekbone, remember, where our last little guide was. And we're going to come in here and we're just going to do a little bit of slide cutting as we're coming through. So with slide cutting, best practices are to come in here and start to move your shear and cut on the way out as you're slide cutting. So rather than taking the blade and raking it along the hair, we're going to suggest that you come in here and you are biting at the hair as you're moving on the way out. You're starting to get that nice little separation and playfulness. So this is often known, this technique for slide cutting is often known as channel cutting. So we're going to come in here, we're going to take our second section, and each one of these is just going to happen in 3 sections. So we are over directing it slightly forward, and we are starting right about at the cheekbone, right here, 2/3 down the hair strand, and we're going to start to take out just a little bit of weight out of this hair. So what we're absolutely looking for here is we're looking for, when we start to push the hair, that we're able to push it and it stays into a shape. It will actually grab that shape here as you're pushing and maneuvering the hair here. So even without a lot of product in it, this hair is mobile because we put air pockets in it. So it's moving for us. So third and final section right here. And we are going to just put a little bit of a nice little channel cut into this layer shape right here to complete our haircut. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to move on to the other side and finish this haircut. Chandler, I love your mind right now. Chandler is asking, how does this layering technique differ from other techniques? This is so perfect. So what we learn as we start to layer hair in different ways, we learn where the shape actually lays on the hair. So if we are elevating the hair to where it's all the way up and all the way over onto the other side, we actually preserve the most length through this perimeter and we get the shortest hairs at the top. That creates a nice full round shape that still has weight through this perimeter. So now we can come in with this perimeter. We've got enough hair here that we can play with it however we want. We can grab our tool, we can flick it out a little bit. This sleeker iron is one of my favorite tools for just doing a little bit of finishing as I'm moving along with a haircut. So that's a great question right there. This type of layering technique is guaranteed to give you volume or height without you seeing that layer shape that cuts off anywhere. So if people love that really highly texturized look, but they don't want their ends to be too frail or too skinny, this is the type of layering technique that you are going to use. Did I answer your question there for you? I'm really excited that you have questions. So as we're finishing this little side in the front here, if there are any more questions, go ahead and put them up in the chat for us. So Terry, I'm seeing that you're learning as well. Thank you. We're excited that you stopped by. So we are sharing some of these techniques for you so that you'll be able to go in and you'll be able to make use. There we go. There's our zigzag part. You'll be able to make use of these techniques and you'll be able to use these tools for your advantage. So we want both of the techniques and the tools here to work in synergy. That way, when you are going in and you are wondering, which technique should I use? Which tool should I choose? You have some guidance to already go by because you have been able to use education as your tool here. So I love it. Dee is here in the chat and asking, what is the Cub Cut? So the Cub Cut, as we've been talking about, is like a baby wolf cut. You know, a lot of these animal name haircuts have really been gaining in popularity over the past couple of years. And these animal name haircuts, one of the biggest one was the wolf cut. So we loved cutting the wolf cut. We still love cutting a wolf cut, but a wolf cut sometimes is very, very layered. Now it can be short on a hair, so it's almost like a combination of a mullet and a shag, which we love a mullet, no shame. Like we love a shag, but the wolf cut was a little bit more aggressive than the Cub Cut. So if you want to look for the Cub Cut is going to be like the baby wolf cut. So the baby wolf cut right in through here. All right. One more tool I'm going to share with you right before we wrap up here. I sometimes will suggest that on some people, they can't handle all of this channel cutting. So if you'd like to see this done with another tool, go ahead and say, yes, I do in the chat. So sometimes people cannot handle having all of that hair kind of trimmed out of the way. So we're about to do a second section right here. We're using a diagonal back section. We're going to go ahead and bring our top section out of the way. Okay, Colleen, you're like 2 steps ahead of me. I love this. You're asking, would you point cut or blunt cut the ends? So here's where we're going to talk about point cutting. So as you can see with our slide cutting out, is essentially like we are point cutting those ends. You can absolutely point cut those ends. But I'm going to share with you one of my other favorite tools. Here at Zambia, we have a tool for that. So this is called the 14-tooth point cutting shear. So we have 14 teeth. So it is able to go in there, and it's as if I have closed my regular shear 14 times. So I can come in here with my second section, come in into the middle where I was before, and just close that shear once per section and create some of that same look. Or if I need to, right at the ends, I can just come in there and close that shear at the ends, or I can turn it vertically. And it's as if I have point cut those ends without closing my regular shear 14 times. So I think you're going to get a lot of use out of this tool. The 14-tooth point cutting shear is one of my favorites that I'll look for all the time. So one last time with the slide cutting, we're going to go ahead and we're going to pick up that 14-tooth point cutting shear again. So we're going to come in through here, and we are just going to finish this with our sleeker as we are wrapping up here. So if you learned something today, we want to hear from you in the chat. What was the biggest thing that you learned today while you were looking at this cub cut? So we are taking off our dry cutting clips, taking off our hair grips. And as you're noticing, the hair is still saying like nice and finished. I will let you know that I've already gone through and slide cut underneath in the back and the nape right here to give a little bit of a kick. So just for time's sake there, we definitely went in and we did a little bit in advance of our time today. So Terry, I see that you're learning. Anybody else, the biggest thing that you learned today? We definitely want to leave you with some inspiration here at Zambia, but we also want you to know that we are running a promotion right now. If you are online on the website, you can get up to 25% off on these tools. So I love that we're seeing that we like the zigzag sections. Oh, the texture from the zigzag and the over direction. Yeah, we want to make it easy on you here. So you're able to use both the tools and the techniques here for just some really, really flawless looks here. I want to share with you one more final thing. We are doing a giveaway still here at Zambia, so that is going to be on Instagram. So that giveaway, as part of our 7 days of Christmas, you just need to get on our Instagram and make sure that you follow the directions there. We're giving away some free tools. It's actually a set of tools, as I understand it, one for you and one for a holiday gift. So make sure that you keep up to date with us. Make sure that you keep up to date with our education here. We always have some wonderful, fun things for you and some really on-trend shapes to share with your guests. So until next time, I want to say bye and thank you to everyone. It's been a wonderful morning.
Thank you, Becca. It has been a wonderful morning. You just, as always, totally blew it out of the water. This was great education, just perfectly on point for what's needed. So thank you, Becca.
Thank you, Andrew.
As Becca said, great opportunity to still save. If you missed some Black Friday deals, you can still head to the website and get 25% off site-wide. If you'd like to get a little bit more, if you are someone that loves to use the Samvia tools, you can actually earn money using the tools. So you can join the Samvia affiliate program. You earn a 20% commission anytime your affiliate code is used, and the person using your code gets an additional 10% discount, and that's on top of the promotions that are already running. So the 25% off that is currently on the website, they'll get an additional 10% discount on top of that. And of course, if you are loving the Samvia education and you would like to bring the team in live and hands-on into your salon, you can do that through the website. You can go to samvia.com/education for the entire education catalog. And this will tell you how to bring live hands-on education into your salon. Thank you so much for watching today. More education is coming your way right here on the Samvia YouTube and Facebook channel. Have a great day.